It's always an interesting time when Derek Warren, Deputy Planning Director, stops by to record a Love in Lebanon podcast episode. This time around, Derek shares the details behind the new wayfinding signs that have been added throughout the city. He's also asking for your help. What to do with the former street garage along Lafayette Avenue? A new park? A skate park? Another citywide water feature? Find out how you can share your thoughts. Episode 178 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 178 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage, the City of Lebanon Communications and Community Development Director. That's a mouthful. This time around, we've got some signs to talk about and some new developments on kind of the west side of town. We've got Deputy Planning Director Derek Warren joining us here for this episode. Derek, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me.
You are welcome, Joe. You need to come up with an acronym for your title instead of reading it like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've got the timer set. You've got like 10 minutes or so I'll pretend to keep track of time.
9 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the first topic, we've got two main topics. One, as the wayfinding signage, everybody, you probably noticed, and if not, take a look at the graphic. I'm going to add some pictures of it being added around town. Derek, you've been instrumental in being the guy to be able to have those added to our community. How gratifying is it to be able to see those signs being added throughout our community, to be able to add the directional wayfinding arrows to folks that would be either locally here or visiting?
Yeah, it's been neat to hear the comments from people that didn't know that I was involved with it, and just kind of being a fly on the wall as people were talking about it. So that was gratifying. It's been a long process to get to the install. I mean, you and I visited a couple communities probably a decade ago to start looking at this kind of stuff. So it's been talked about for a long time. And the money finally became, something that we could get a hold of through the American Rescue Plan money that was released after the COVID years. And we were able to apply that to get this project done. So they are bespoke signs.
What's that mean?
It means one-off, designed just for us.
Okay.
Based off of our branding guide. They are DOT approved signs. Indianapolis Sign Works was the group that made these signs for us, and they're quality. They should last a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And in talking with the sign guy over at Sign Works, Andy Chapman, Lebanon, grew up in Lebanon. Are there breakaway signs? So if something happens, it's not going to damage cars further or damage the sign any further. They're designed to break away. If something terrible were to happen, and that kind of a safety issue, it's one of the things that was a selling point, from my understanding.
It is. That's very common with road signs these days to have that type of installation. So in theory, that's the way it's supposed to work. There's a lot of variables there that you can't always account for, but that is the idea. Yes.
Gotcha. 20 or so signs around there?
14.
Yep. 14.
14.
What went into their location and the different amenities and things, schools and parks and all those things? What you would think, everybody, is what would be something you'd want to direct folks to. That's what's on the signs. Kind of what went into that, kind of laying that out, mapping that out.
Yeah, I think they highlight outside of the schools and some of the other locations that are listed on there. It highlights the accomplishments that we've made over the last 10, 15 years. The improvements, the maturation process of the city has come a long way, and to highlight those and celebrate them, I think is part of what those signs are. It provides people some basic knowledge of general areas that we have that are starting to sprout up in our community. The historic downtown, our building is listed on there. The Big Four Trail is highlighted on several signs to get people to the trailhead at Sam Ralston Road, the schools, as you mentioned, the parks. So it identifies places that people who are driving through for the first time, first impression, see that we have some places that they can stop and enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Good baseline in case more signs, as you talked about, the maturation process of our city, or possibility for more signs as our city grows and more amenities are added or more money becomes available to highlight more things?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay.
I think these signs will probably be a living, breathing thing. Some of them will have to change as time goes by.
As a new central elementary
New central
type thing?
elementary.
Yeah.
So we've already had discussions about that, and that's a quick and easy fix on some of the signs that are out there. Some of them will still point the people in the appropriate direction, but there are a few that the arrow will need to change, and that's a simple process for us to change.
Gotcha. Talking with Derek Warren. He's the Deputy Planning Director here on episode 178 of the Love and Lebanon podcast. That's 5 minutes. 5 minutes down, 5 minutes to go, and your tight schedule since you're so busy. So busy. Anyway, the second topic that we have for you, and everybody, in all seriousness, Derek is kind of a jack of all trades. He's got a lot of irons in the fire, and he does a lot of great things for the planning department. One of the things that you'll be able to see here pretty soon, and we'll need your help on, to be honest, is what's going to happen with the former street garage. And that's on Lafayette Avenue, a building that had seen better days, has housed the street department for a long time. Now that the Department of Public Works is now in better digs, what to do with the old facility. And that's something that you're headlining and being able to help out and kind of identify what happens next with that piece of land in our community, sir?
Yes, that is an exciting project on my right now. So that site has had a couple different uses over the years. When the city bought it, it was Triangle Asphalt. That was their first kind of headquarters, and we purchased it off of them. I want to say that was in the, if I have my dates right, I don't have my notes with me, but it was somewhere 45 years ago, somewhere in that range. And after we decided to build the new location out there on Mount Zion Road, we did a phase 1, phase 2 testing on that, environmental testing, which we have an EPA grant to do on buildings, any property in town for that matter, commercial properties. So we were able to identify through our consultants what the contamination looks like on that site from the uses over the years. And that firm also has a planning side to their business as well. So we hired them to do the plan for the reuse as well. With them doing the environmental study, we thought it was a good idea to keep it consistent so that the planners knew exactly what the environmental concerns are on that site, and they're not catastrophic.
Yeah.
It's not what you would think. It's not nuclear waste there. There's not cars or oil tanks buried in the ground anywhere.
But with asphalt and different building materials or infrastructure materials, sure.
Yep. So some contamination has happened, and we'll deal with that. And we'll build things accordingly. It will be safe at the end of the day with the environmental concerns, and they're very light environmental concerns. We're, again, not talking about catastrophic contamination. So did the phase 1, did the phase 2, and now we've kind of shifted over to the planning side of V3 is the firm who's doing this for us. And we had a kickoff meeting this week to kind of get the scope and timeline all laid out. And over the next couple months, we are going to be doing the community engagement circuit. We've got a plan to send out a survey through SurveyMonkey that we're talking about incentivizing for people who want to take part in that. More details will come on what those incentives look like, but I think we've got some pretty good ideas floating around that will be attractive. We plan on being at one of the football games locally here to get people to give us their input on what they'd like to see there in the park. The amenities that they would like to see. And then we'll have a neighborhood meeting or two with the surrounding community so that they know what's going on and can provide their input as well. Part of this reuse will also include some better connectivity to the site to make sure that everyone has a way, whether they're walking, riding a bike, or driving a car, to be able to get there safely. So,
because currently there isn't a sidewalk on that side of the roadway, right? So there's going to have to be something done to help get them there, whatever it's going to be.
Yep, sidewalks are closed. There's a sidewalk across the street on Lafayette Avenue, and you come down Camp Street, and there's a sidewalk right there. So it's that will be the easy part of it. There's been several ideas floated around about what amenities we want to see in there, from a basic, water feature, splash pad kind of idea to maybe a skate park facility of some sort, a place for all ages just to gather and spend time with each other in person. The data is starting to show that those type of spaces are important to communities, starting to break away from the screens and realizing that just providing people a covered shelter to, and a couple benches to sit around and talk and spend time with each other is important. So this will be a neighborhood park. The site's about 3.5 acres, so it's not huge, but it will be something that I think this community will be proud of when we get to the finish line there.
Isn't it funny how our society kind of ebbs and flows? We grew up going to the park. You're outside always. Parents kicked you out. You go out and do something outside, outdoors, that type of thing. To kind of went and maybe regressed a little bit and were maybe too dependent on the screens. And then now it's kind of switched to this outdoors isn't such a bad place after all type thing. Is it kind of cool to be able to see how this space could benefit our community and just enhance it?
Yeah, certainly. I recently gave a talk about the active living and what we've done over the last decade. And it gave me a chance to kind of reflect over the last decade and see what we have done as a community. You start talking about the investments in the Big Four trails, the investment in the sidewalks that we've done over the last 10 years. Stone Eater Bike Park, is huge. So the momentum for alternative amenities, outdoor amenities, is certainly gaining steam, and that's something we've been talking about for a decade. And this is all stuff that was talked about early on in that process, and it just takes a while to get to this point. So it is gratifying to see these amenities start to pop up and see the community embrace them as well. That's important.
And a couple questions, Derek, before I let you go, because we're close on time.
Thank you.
So everything at this point is on the table. You mentioned like the water feature. You mentioned the skate park, that type of thing. This is one of those things where this is a chance for the community to really come out and say what they would like in this part of town, in this 3.5 or so acres, to be able to add to their enjoyment of the community, both as residents and those that visit our community. That was the first question. Everything's on the table. Second, you're going to incentivize me with something, some kind of tchotchke or some kind of something, if I take and tell you my opinions on this?
Yes, it'll be more than a stress ball as well, or one of your bracelets or pencils, your number 2 pencils.
Oh,
here.
You're a jerk.
We're kicking around some ideas, and they are like I said, they are attractive. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there, but it is more than a sticky note.
Gotcha.
Pad of paper. So
just keep looking around the office and just point out stuff.
Yeah,
just do that.
So it's community involvement and engagement and input is highly important to us, and it has been for a long time. And to make sure that the people in the community, the neighbors of this location, are involved, to hear their concerns, to hear what they would like to see, keep it a transparent process, is something that I think we've all been proud of over the last couple decades of doing business here in the city and providing new things. So we are at this point almost begging for people to get involved, because that's how important it is to us. We want to make sure that we can do whatever we can to get people motivated to provide us feedback. And that's what these incentives will be driven for.
And then by giving them the opportunity to get in front of something, hopefully it will lessen their willingness to be upset with whatever is added after the fact, when they've had ample opportunity to jump in and say what they want at the beginning of the conversation.
Sure, that is the idea.
Gotcha. Bold strategy, Cotton. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that works out. So the best thing for our residents, our friends, our listeners to this podcast is to be ready for those social media posts for whatever's going to be sent to them in a utility bill or at a football game, or like you said, out in the public somewhere, to be able to have the opportunity to share what they want in this part of town.
Yep. I think, I believe, I have to check my notes, but I think you'll see that in the newsletter.
Yep.
You as the communications director, czar, expert, IT person, whatever you are,
keep going.
you will be instrumental in getting that out there to the community. So all those channels, all those platforms that you use on a regular basis will continue to be what we push this thing out on.
Okay. And stay tuned, everybody. There you go. You've had fair warning. It's coming out soon. and probably shortly after this podcast episode airs. So just be ready for that. Derek, we're getting you in just a little bit over the 10 minutes, but we appreciate your time and willingness to be a good team player and come down here and chat.
My pleasure, Joe. Thank you.
I'm sure it was. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the podcast. More episodes coming your way soon. And Derek Warren, again, maybe one day. Who knows? Take care, everybody.